Baal is actually pronounced Baal. Early pig bladders were used to make footballs, and we throw them around. Baal causes men to honor it as a ruler, but a ball only influences games. Games bring passion to the heart, but the physical effects are costly. Have you ever crashed yourself riding a dirt bike into a wall? It hurts. The fear of riding again is palatable. But these men suit up again and again and again. We call them heroes. We wear their names on our backs because they sacrificed their safety for spotlight. And if being a believer was like joining the NFL or the NBA, how many of us would quit after the first hit? How many of us would learn to find balance during spiritual warfare? These players, these men, these ballers, they say no to refraining from the impossible because they believe in the ball. They believe in its grip. They believe in its possession. Baal means Lord. It means master. And when they are in possession, they will risk everything to become ballers. And the crowd goes wild. They sacrifice and we gain entertainment. Some of us sacrifice our money, our time, our respect, our social groups just to see the worship. Why is a ball called ball? Why do we chase after them, fly in the air for them, walk the tightrope off court for them, wrestle and fight for them? But the first sign of spiritual warfare, we quit. It's because many believe in games more than spiritual reality. We see these giant men jumping and leaping and sliding. We believe in their feeble mortal bodies more than the infinite. We see their blood, sweat, and tears and call it real to us. We call teams our teams, as if we practiced when the players did. We mourn losses. We celebrate wins. We praise their dances in the sanctuary. We pay per views. We listen to the music. We shout, defense, defense. We believe in the arena's military. We know it takes discipline to be a ballerina, but when it's time to fast through the warfare pressing, when it's time to dedicate focus to reading the word, when it's time to practice what we know our lives should preach, we quit. Why is Baal called Paul? We know why. But the better question is, who is Baal in our lives?
It was an incredible playoff performance. I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Hard-hitting numbers today in a new study about football and head trauma. 99% of the brains of former NFL players studied were damaged. Out of 111 brains examined, all but one had CTE, the disease caused by repeated blows to the head.
Hey, shalom. So, I look at ball players as a microcosm of what's going on with those of us who are in America, for example, let's say. And you can apply this to any country that does not honor the Most High in sincerity. And what happens is you got to sign a contract in order to enter into agreement with that country. You know, it starts at birth. You're given a birth certificate or a social security number. There are practices in terms of medicine that are forced upon you if you don't know how to fight back. Then there's the schooling and the education system. There's the food. There's how you dress, what you say, what you don't say, the cultural references that are allowed to just dictate how we get along with one another. Like all of it, it is the system. It is the beast. It is the money. even the money that we spend, what's on the dollar, the back of the dollar. It's where those resources go to. Now, if there's power in obedience, there's sure reprimand behind disobedience. I believe that the prophet Yirmiyahu is an excellent example of what a prophet, if he was risen up to speak to Americans who are bowed and bended their knee to the system in order to survive, in order to thrive. And I'm going to put thrive in air quotes because it's really not thriving. I'm going to start with verse 8.
And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith Yahuwah Tsavuot, with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. Therefore hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers, nor to your enchanters, nor to your sorcerers, which speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon. For they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you far from your land, and that I should drive you out, and ye should perish. But the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him, those will I let remain still in their own land, saith Yahuwah Tsavuot. And they shall fill it and dwell therein.
If you read the whole chapter 27 of Yirmiyahu, what you'll find is that King Nebuchadnezzar was able to conquer Jerusalem and to take all of the vessels, the silver and the gold from the temple, and to carry it off into Babel. And the prophets were saying, oh, they'll be brought back. Don't worry, Yah's going to deliver us. Meanwhile, Yahweh had placed a judgment against the prophets and against the priests because they had bowed and bended their knee to foreign gods and had led Jerusalem, Yisrael, to sin. And so the punishment was that Babel was going to take over Jerusalem. When that happened, the prophets wanted to tickle the ears of the people and said a lie, which did not come from Yah. And it was like, you don't have to bow and bend your knee to Babel because Yahweh will deliver us. And Yah was like, no, I will deliver those who do bow to the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar. And then I will deal with Nebuchadnezzar. I will see that the vessels are brought back. So what does it look like to be completely dedicated to Yahweh, but under the yoke of Babel? We get Daniel from that. One who is able to discern the meaning behind dreams that Yahweh gave King Nebuchadnezzar. He was the one to tell him, hey, you're going to roam the land like a wild beast. This is actually the foretelling of the prophetic of Yirmiyahu when he said that Yah says, I will be the one to restore the vessels to the temple. Ananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. They went into the fiery furnace and refused to bow down to the idol. So it's like you've got this situation where you have great people who are able to accomplish great. Maybe they're talented, maybe they are gifted. And what happens is they get so caught up in their talent being praised in Babylon that they begin to worship the idol. Now the idol is going to vary depending on who or what we're exposed to. But it's like, Torah. We know Torah. We know what the commandments say. We know that what the grace that Yahusha taught us, it elevates, it takes the Torah to another dimension. It goes from you will not commit adultery to you're not even going to lust after a woman who's not your wife. Grace is actually a higher calling, obedience to a higher level, to the most sincere level, to the heart. And that's where the Torah is written, and it is written in our hearts. The obedience comes from the heart. And so when we find ourselves in Babylon, the true identity of the heart is what shines through. So if you really want to sincerely have fame, notoriety, money, all of these things, not from Yah, but from the world, that is what is going to shine through the heart. If the Torah is indeed written on the heart and the desire to please Yah, it might look rocky sometimes, it may look bumpy sometimes, but you're going to ultimately wait on Yah to fulfill his promises to you. He promises his people land. He promises his people inheritance. He promises his people empowerment, placement, purpose. These are the things he promises. But see, Babylon seems like it's instant. It seems like if you follow this regimen, you're gonna make it. But the irony is that Michael Jordan wasn't born gifted. He wasn't supposed to be the height that he was. He was the tallest person in his family. He was 6'6", I believe. Like, he wasn't supposed to be Jordan the way that we know him. He had average talent in high school. He was able to keep working at it, and then he grew to have a lot more success. Same with Bryant. These are men who, though initially it was rocky, they were willing to put in the extra work in Babylon to produce the fruit. Now, I'm not judging whether or not the hearts were obedient to Yah or not. I'm not. I'm just saying that even if you look at the greatest in Babylon, they too came across struggle. To handle difficulty with an impoverished spirit is way more difficult than to do it wealthy and well-fed. Babylon seeks to distract the soul so much from the wealth that Yah is going to produce in due season that we start to actually believe in the smoke and mirrors of Babylon, to the point where we don't even wait on what the Father's gonna give. We buy into the system so much that it leads us astray, and then we don't even realize that we have broken covenant with him. Abraham and Sarah, I wonder to this day what their lives would have looked like if they hadn't had Ishmael. I wonder to this day. Because it's like, it's so hard. Yah gives you a promise. He says, this is going to happen. It looks like it will never happen, but I'm promising you that it will. And what Babylon will say, look, you really want a child? Let's do in vitro. Let's just do in vitro or surrogate. Let's just get somebody else to do, or let's just, we'll concoct the solution to the problem so that it's here already. And sometimes our hearts are not ready for the promise yet. There's something that happens to us in the waiting that takes us to the level of preparedness to handle the anointing that he's given us, or the promise that he's given us. For 8 years, this young man named David lived in caves. He had been anointed as king, but for 8 years, he ran from Saul, from Shaul. 8 years. Imagine if he said, you know what, in that 8 years, I obviously must not have been anointed for king. Prophet Samuel broke his heart, but he got it wrong. Because look at my situation. Look at the fact that I've been wandering in these caves. I've got these men around me, yes, but I'm not acting as king. I'm living as a vagabond in the land that I was anointed to lead. But there was something that happened in that 8 years. He had an opportunity to kill Shaul, and he didn't, because he honored the mantle. He honored the level of position that Yah had given Shaul. There was another thing. The men, he was like, oh man, I long for this water, this special water that is in the city. And his men went and risked their lives to go get it, brought it back to David. And he was like, I can't drink this. And he pours it out. Why? Because he said, my men, how dare I be worthy of drinking water that my men risked their lives for? Yes, his hands got bloody in the process of increasing the kingdom. But he didn't lose the conviction in his heart. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of us seek to be ballers, to be lords, to be husbands, to be betrothed to the system, because we forgot the promise that we were given, because it tarries though it does not tarry. And we yoke ourselves with the system because we're some of us are even resentful or bitter
about how long it's taking. And if we had just waited just a little bit longer, we would have gotten the richness and the fullness that was promised to us. In due season, it comes. And then all it takes is once we're in the system and we've committed to it and we're starting to embrace all of these secular ideals that we know have nothing to do with this kingdom, but some of us are silent about it because we're afraid to speak up. Some of us don't want to lose our contracts. We don't want to lose our money. We don't want to lose all of that. Our resources, we're afraid because we forgot who gave us the talent. And so we begin to bow the knee to things that are not right. And then it's like, we despise, in that moment, we begin to despise these younger vessels who identify what the system is. We despise them. Because really what it should be is you should see people who have gotten to that point and they realize that there's rebellion in their hearts because they have bowed the knee in order to be all right in that system. Really what they should be doing is saying, no, these righteous ones below me in age are right. And I don't want to go on this public platform and say that what I've embraced in this corporation is wrong and is evil and unjust. I don't want to say it, but I have to. Why? Because it's even more wicked, in my opinion, to hear the word of truth coming from a younger one, a younger player, and then for the older ones not to say, no, he's right. It's like I'm so caught up in the web of my wickedness that I can't even stop to say, I hear truth in this moment. And then you've got these prophets who call themselves prophets who say that you're going to be delivered. Don't worry, it's going to be all right. But see, that's not where the salvation is found. The salvation is not found in spite of the disobedience and the continued willingness to sin. The salvation is found. The fourth man in the fiery furnace is found. You say, yeah, I'm under the system. Yeah, I'm doing as I'm told. But no, I won't I will not praise that idol. I'm not going to say what you're doing is right. I can't. I gotta take a step back from that. But while you're burning, you will not catch fire. You will not smell like smoke. That's where the salvation is found. And see, a lot of us are afraid of these fiery furnaces. We're afraid of what is it going to look like? How are we going to survive with that? How are we going to go from making millions to nothing? What does that shift look like? How am I going to be 90 or in my 80s or my 70s and I'm being promised I'm going to give birth to a child? Now the child, where is this child? This child is tarrying. My womb is still dry. How is this going to happen? And yet there is going to be a birthing because there was a promise there. So it's like, I believe 100 years from now, when people look back at this time, they're going to study what believers did. They're going to see vlogs. They're going to see videos. They're going to hear audiobooks. They're going to see all of these things that our people did from this time. And they're going to say, wow, it's so obvious who Babylon was during that time. But like, everybody signed up for it. Everybody, they had the Torah, they had the law, they had the accounts of the prophets, they had Yahushua HaMashiach, and still they decided to say, it's okay to allow these wicked things in our presence. In fact, we'll applaud it. And they're gonna be like, why? And what I would say to those people is fear. Fear of not being liked, fear of not being accepted, fear of the unknown, fear of y'all not coming through. Like, to be totally frank, fear. Fear is what allows people to choose Baal as their Baal. Fear is what causes people to call Yahuwah Baal, Baal Yahuwah. It's because the idea is that the system, even when it comes to the faith, so you've got churches even embracing Baal. the concern is that Yah's not going to come through, and you're going to be that alien entity that is like an island, and you won't receive the funding, you won't receive the welcome, you won't receive everything the way that you should, because you refuse to embrace and bow to it. Like, to be Jordan great, to be Bryant great, to be Iverson great, to be whatever great you think it is on the fields or on the courts or whatever, sacrifice is necessary. And what has been happening is that these entities, these lords of the world, of every country, I really believe that every domain, every populace has its own lord, its own Baal, is that it loves our guts. It loves the fat around our liver. It loves our strength. It loves the petitions of our heart. It loves our blood. My gosh, give now, right? It's like it loves that. And just as Yahweh enjoyed the smells of the bulls and of the rams from sacrifice, from the doves and everything when it was done correctly, these entities love sacrifice too. And what we will do is we will sacrifice in these Baal systems for these entities, and they're eating it up. They're eating it up. They're eating our mal decisions with like a delicacy, as a delicacy. I mean, there are accounts of this. There's this woman who came forward in the 90s named Arizona Wilder. And what she said, that these entities would, and they still do, cannibalize human beings. And I don't even know if it's cannibalism if they're not human. She alleged a lot. But I listened to her account and how she talked about how these entities, like certain organs and certain areas around the organs. And then I went back and I read Torah, and I was like, I just read how the priests were to conduct their sacrifices, and some of the organs were lining up. And I thought it was really interesting how they wanted that. But see, Yah doesn't really want animal sacrifice. What he really wants is obedience. Obedience is our sacrifice. He never once wanted us to kill our children. He never once wanted us to kill ourselves. He never once wanted that. But see, these Baal systems want that. They really want that. They want that so badly that they load the fear so high if you don't bow and bend the knee to their idols. And what breaks my heart is that at this point in my life, I can see how if you don't do it, there's so much pressure against you. But that pressure comes from, and I'm saying this to myself mostly, if you hear it and it elevates, great. But that pressure comes up on relying on how we think the outcome should be. It's funny, like Jordan didn't become really Jordan. We were like taking the Bulls to the next level until he stopped being a ball hog. When he got Pippen, and they made changes to the Bulls franchise in terms of who was allowed on the court when he played, it transformed the Bulls. And see, for me, I like to have things happen in a certain order. I don't like it when I don't know certain things, because if I don't know certain things and I have to provide, that is scary. I could take those risks when I was younger because I just did, you know? But when you get older, it's like you want to be more methodical about how you move. And I've seen the consequences for reckless abandon, and I don't want to recreate that. So it's like I want to make sure that I shift and I move forward, but then you get to a place, a fork in the road, and you could choose certain things, and you know certain choices are aligned with Baal. But there's one choice that says, wait. Stay right where you are. There's something that's going to happen for you. And that voice is so tempting not to listen to. It is so tempting to pick the scab. It is so tempting to pop the bubble, to have that conversation, to just move forward and to just do and blaze ahead through with the construction site, even though you've been told to wait. Wait on what? Wait on him. Well, what's he doing? What if I'm not being productive with my time? And see, that self-reliance causes us to hog the ball. And the more that we hog the ball, the more that we stagnate our growth and our ability to fulfill what he has called us to do. Yirmiyahu is not an easy book to read because you see yourself in it. And we realize that we've all fallen short of his kavod, of his glory. We realize we've all done that. So in various ways, we see ourselves in how we have called Baal, the system, our husband, instead of waiting on Yahuwah. And it's just like, it's a hard book to read because it's a convicting book to read. And there's a promise of Yahushua HaMashiach to come and to redeem us and to love us and to fulfill within us what we're supposed to be fulfilled in our hearts. And it's like, wow, what a gift. What a gift. But it's like, I don't want to squander my gift, right? We don't want to squander our gift. He gave us that voice of wait for a reason. And I love the Father so much. My heart loves him so much with all of my being for all of these years, and I've seen so much. And I just want to do his will. I don't care what it costs me. I don't care. Well, I mean, I care. I do care, because I'm vested. But I want to do it right. And if that means walking away from millions, it means walking away from millions. If it means that I have to be patient because the promise is being birthed and I'm pregnant now, but I don't know it in terms of what he's told me that I can fulfill, not physically, but if it means I have to be patient, then I have to be patient. If I'm in a league and I'm noticing wickedness, then maybe he's placed on my heart to start my own league. Maybe there's enough believers who are ball players who would want to play for a platform that's called a believing, the National Believing Ballers Association or Basketball Association or whatever. And we honor the Shabbat. We don't hold games on Shabbat. And we have team names that honor his kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we don't allow profanity on our court. Maybe our women who cheer for us aren't scantily clad. Maybe they're covered. Maybe there's a reason why we have a problem with the system, with Baal right now. We don't bow and bend the knee to, but maybe the fiery furnace is the inspiration to create what he's told us to create. Maybe he's telling us that these things are happening and that they're wrong and that we need to produce our own fruit. So it's like a YouTube channel, like maybe you don't like my content, but there are many, many millions of others, infinite almost, of other channels you could listen to. So it's like, okay, no, we don't bow and bend the knee to, but we're not enslaved. We can choose to make different. And each day is a new opportunity to create that. But it's like in the creating, we have to realize that it's his promise being fulfilled that's leading it. It's not our timeline or our expectation. If we're building for his kingdom, he's going to lead it. He's going to guide it. He's going to feed it. I don't know who this video is for because I'm really not into watching sports. I really would rather play them. I do admire Kobe Bryant because I met him once when I played as a ball girl for the Lakers. And there was something different about him. I didn't know that he worked as hard as he worked. I just knew that there was something different about him. And what that difference was how he treated me. I was a 12-year-old ugly girl, awkward or whatever, and he didn't treat me like, get out of my way, kid. He treated me with respect. And as I reflect back on that, and now that I know what I know about him, I believe he did that because respect for all levels comes with mastery of a placement. When we have become a master at our discipline, we have the energy to be respectful and to be thoughtful and courteous and kind. But when we have not had the opportunity to master what we've been given, it is very tempting to take out that aggression and that frustration on other people. It causes, like, the call is to rise early and to work late, to honor Shabbat. But then all those other days, those 6 other days, we're taking command over the assignment he's given us. And it's like, and I'm thinking about myself now, because it's like when I write and I am seriously disciplined about writing, the rest of my day is a cakewalk. But it's the days where I've allowed what's going on externally and my frustration with the fact that there is a ball in front of me. And I'm like, I'm not bound to this thing. I'm mad about it. But see, if I had spent enough time in the secret place, that energy would have been used up. I said, okay, that's a ball. I'm not going to bow to it. I recognize that it's there, but I'm going to go over here now. Oh, you're going to put me in a fiery furnace? Very well then. If I'm delivered, cool. If I'm not delivered, he's still the king. Yah is still the king. You feel me? Like it's a different sort of command over your day. But when we have not mastered our discipline and we seek somebody else to fulfill that externally, or we expect that how other people treat us is going to make the sir or the madam in me resound, that's when it's all awry. It goes all topsy-turvy. It's just messed up. So I want to thank each of you. Those of you who have purchased books, I really, really do appreciate it. I sincerely, sincerely do. Thank you so much for buying How to Be a Believer in a New Age World. I talk about many of these topics. I go into my own personal account of what it was like to live in Baal and realize that Baal is everywhere. There are Baals everywhere. You can't just migrate to another country and expect there not to be a different Baal there. They're everywhere. But how Yah stirred in my heart to have a fervent desire to obey him. So How to Be a Believer in a New Age World tackles a lot of these topics. Please, if you feel led, if you would sign the petition to free Pastor Wang Yi. He is a dedicated pastor who has been in prison, I almost said enslaved, imprisoned by the Chinese Communist Party in China. This petition is not just about Wang Yi. It's about the fact that the Chinese Communist Party has been allowed to change the Bible, change the Torah, remove the 10 Commandments, replace them with President Xi's rhetoric, and to mislead many, many people. Churches there, assemblies there. Imagine having to meet underground because if your employer found out or your neighbors found out, you could be imprisoned for that. The pastors there who are well known and have a safe stake have actually signed off with the Chinese propaganda movement, the 3 Self-propaganda movement. And what that movement does is it makes pastors submit their sermons beforehand, and then they evaluate whether or not they want them to be read or how they want them to be read. They make changes, edits, and then they send them back. So my heart goes out to his wife and to his child. I don't know what else can be done, but I believe sometimes we can feel and discern things spiritually that are manifesting physically for others. And the Baal system here in America is there, but it's not as physically expressed as it is in China. This country has, in my opinion, embraced some of the ways that China is. And I would want my brother or sister in China, if they saw such oppression here in America, to do what they could do to see my liberation. So if you're led, please, please sign that petition. It costs absolutely nothing. It's on change.org. You literally just sign the petition, and hopefully we can get some more signatures on that. Anyways, shalom and ahava. I love each of you. Peace.